host King of Kings, man. And then there was another kid that was, oh yeah, that's him. He hosts King of Kings, and it blew me away. Like that was my first like moment when I was like, I'm on the right path. Like I'm doing the right thing because, you know, when I created my tournament, it was never for that. It was never to be recognized. It was never to be known. I literally created it because there was a void in the community. It was a void in the space. We never had a platform that allowed the top content creators to play smaller content creators. And also, we never had a platform that allowed those content creators, period, to play with their fans. So by creating that space, it just created pandemonium, and I never knew how big it was until that moment. And like I never promoted myself, I never promoted anything about me, and then I just promoted the tournament. To have those kids be like, "Hey, that's the guy," that was like my first real like, you know, I'm on the right path, moment, you know.
That's crazy, man.
After that, but that was like the first real like, okay.
The first one, right. Yeah. No, I get it. So let's talk about First Shake, man. I really want to hear your thought process around that show, and for me, and correct me if I'm wrong, I felt like that platform kind of launched you into being a part of the NBA2K League.
Yes, definitely. We definitely did it. I would love to talk about that. So, that's a very interesting story, too, within itself. So, Jelani Mitchell, the head coach of Jazz Gaming now, he is known as 2K Comp Games in the community. He's a big, I guess, I don't know how we describe it. He's a big figure in the Pro-Am community. He watches a lot of comp games. He was just an advocate of, watching talented players and always looking for the next best big talent. It's similar to what Famous Enough did in the community. So he had a brand of always looking for the best available next big player to come up in the community. And I'll never forget, I always was fans of his content, what he did for the community. And I reached out to him. I was like, hey, man, I love what you do. You're always helping the little guy get big, and you're always promoting people's games, stuff like that. And he only knew me for hosting tournaments. So he was just like, so we had a conversation on the phone. I was like, hey, man, we should do something together. And the first thing he said to me, I never forget, he said, look, man, I don't attach my name to no tournament. I said, hold on, man. I'm not asking you to attach your name to my tournament. I said, to be truthfully honest, I would never host a Pro-Am tournament because I don't feel like that. I do my team tournaments, you don't know. There was a conversation one time to do something with MPBA, but it fell through because it just didn't make sense at the time. But but I still always helped MPBA behind the scenes. People didn't know that, but I always helped them behind the scenes. I always give them ideas and things that you see that lived on to today that are in the MPBA structure right now. So I always helped. I just never said anything. But it's interesting, right? So he said that. I said, look, man, I'm not trying to do that. So I said, look, I have an idea for something, but I think you'll be the perfect person for it. He's like, well, I have an idea too. So we both said our idea at the same time. And lo and behold, it was the same idea.
Wow.
Now, the likelihood of that happening is, what, 1,000,001? So the story gets funnier, right? So now we're like, okay, well, let's make it happen. I said, look, well, at my house, I have a full setup. But, we're perfect strangers, and we're both from New York, so we're skeptical still, right? So I'm like, meet me at this Wendy's off the highway by yourself. Now, he's like, well, that sounds awkward. Why do I got to meet you by yourself? He's like, I'm meeting you with my brother or my cousin. I said, you ain't coming to my house with no random guy. I'm like, so we're having this whole big conversation. We're both New York. Both of what we're saying sounds awkward to the other person. So I get there early to Wendy's. I'm not in the spot where he can see me. He pulls up. I pull up. We're looking at each other from afar. We're like, who's that? And then we end up finally getting out of each other's car. We meet, we talk, and we find out we have a lot in common. We don't film that day, obviously, because that was a lot to go on that day.
Right.
But we end up reconvening the next week. We end up filming, and we've been like thick as thieves ever since. And that was the creation of First Shake. The show goes on to do extremely well. And I don't know if you want more than that. I can tell you the rest of the story on how we end up getting the jobs. But long story short, that's how First Shake came together.
Got you, man. That's a wild one. So, and that's funny. So like, you know, that success of First Shake. Let's go through the talks and maybe an email, phone call that led you to being the community ambassador over the NBA2K League.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine. I said let's go into maybe the first call or email, like run us through that story about how actually you being the community ambassador for the NBA2K League.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, we did First Shake. We had success with that. Comp goes on to become, you know, the Utah Jazz gaming head coach. I'm unemployed now, but even though I do have a job, but I'm you know, by league standards, I'm unemployed, right? We did the whole stuff together, which was a league show for the off season. He goes on. They not canceled the show, but put the show on hiatus, which means that, you know, until further notice, until next off season, they wasn't going to bring the show back. So he moved on to be head coach. There's no more coaching jobs, so I'm technically just in the win. So I'm like sitting at home like, oh, what am I going to do with my life? So what they were doing was they would invite me back to the studio every week, and I would jump on the broadcast, and I would talk about, you know, who's going to win, who's going to lose. Pretty much I was a fill-in for the broadcast, right? And so conversations were coming up, and they've been trying to fill the role of community ambassador for about a year and a half. And they had conversations with certain team managers, and they were saying, well, look, you know, we need a community ambassador. Who you guys think? And then, you know, shout out to OG King Kurt. He had a conversation with Vinee. He said, hey, man, you know, you have the perfect candidate. I don't know why you keep, like, you're not looking. And he was like, who? Vinee said, this is Brandon Donnie, the managing director. He said, who? He said, yeah, Frank. He said, does Frank want to do that? He said, no, Frank is not thinking about that, but I'll tell him that he needs to do it, and he'll do it. You know? You know, and this is why having great friends is always important in situations like this, because, you know, shout out to, you know, my brothers that I have in the league, which is like Famous Enough, OG King Kurt, Rico Finesse, Nick Cartrell, and 2K Comp Games, and Coach LT from the Mavs.
All OGs in the game.
Yeah, all the OGs in the game. They sat me down and said, hey, Frank, I know you want to be a head coach and a general manager of a franchise, but this is where we need you right now. We need you to take those relationships that you built over all these years and help grow the league in this space. Because I wasn't thinking about that role. It wasn't something that it just wasn't on my radar. You know, sometimes, not that I didn't think I would be good at the role, it just wasn't on my radar. I had something, you know, sometimes God has a plan for you that doesn't match what you have planned in your head, right?
There you go.
So I said, I sat down with myself. I looked over the, you know, details of the job, and I said, no, I'll do something I can do. So I sat down with Vinee. We had a conversation, and then I sat down with one of the members of the team in the office, and, you know, they hired me right there, and that's how that story goes. And I became the community ambassador. It was interesting. Like, you know, something that I wasn't even thinking about. It wasn't even on my table. And, you know, just because, you know, OG had a conversation and said, hey, look, I think we all missing the perfect guy for this. And we just need to talk to him and tell him to do it, you know? So it just worked out.
Shout out to OG, man.
Definitely.
And truth be told, I mean, OG is the reason why we're talking right now, man. So
definitely.
Yeah, he's one of those type of dudes, man, and I definitely agree with you saying, you know, God has different plans, man. It's just up to us to be obedient and be in a point where we can receive that blessing, man. And you walk right into your blessing, man, bro. Like, that's crazy, man. Just being at a point where you put in the hours, man, and just to get a award like that at the end where you can just walk in and take it. It makes perfect sense. And so let's get to it. Yeah, man. Let's get into it, man. Due to COVID-19, everybody's pretty much they're not coming to the studio, man. I want to get your take on how has that been. I think it's exciting, man, seeing y'all guys on ESPN every night. It's something that I really enjoy, man, and I'm gonna say this comment. I'm gonna let you get to it, man. I watch it so much and I play it so much. I had it on the big screen in my living room, and my wife was like, "Oh, the NBA is back." I was like, "No, babe. Look at it hard." And she was like, "Oh, they're playing the game." I was like, "Yeah." I said, "It's go time, man." I think it's a good time for the league, man. But I'd like to get your opinion on everything.
Yeah, it's exciting times for us. All major sports, due to COVID, which is a sad situation, and the quarantine, everything going on, are closed right now. But we're able to continue on. We have right now in the middle of 6 weeks of remote gameplay. We're in our third week, and things are going as smoothly as humanly possible, which is all you can ask for. And I think it's been good. I think, ESPN2, we will be on ESPN, the app, all season long. And it's been fun, right? You get to turn on ESPN and watch us every Tuesday. I think that's been amazing. And, Twitch and YouTube as always. So I think it's just the growth of our league, right? It just shows the maturation of our product. And I always tell people that I think we're one of the few esports that converts very well to television. Like,
true.
If you ever watch basketball, you can understand our league, right? You can understand it. It follows very easy. I always tell people this, right? When I watch Overwatch or League of Legends, if I've never watched it before, it's hard for me to understand.
There's a lot going on.
Won, lost. It's just the common knowledge of it. You have to actually sit down and try to understand it. Where basketball, you see the ball go through the hoop, it makes perfect sense. Somebody scored, right? Or somebody did something, because now it's a transition, right? So that's the beauty of our league.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And we got a few minutes left on the show. I allow my guests to plug whatever, man. I know you got the post up. I know you're working on probably a few other things, man. It's your time, man. Just run down the gauntlet, man. I know you're busy. I know you're constantly creating.
Yeah, like always, just follow me on IG, BlackFrankWhite1. Also, check me out every Tuesday on BFW Live at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv, Bud Light. We are officially sponsored by Bud Light now, so it's something that was in the works for a while, but it happened. Start the season off right in terms of my show that I do with the league. So BFW Live, check me out every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv, Bud Light. And follow me on IG. I post every day on my story, get some updates, and find out some cool things about the league at BLKFrankWhite1.
That's awesome, man. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for blessing the show. And you always got an open door, man. I look forward to working with y'all in the future, man.
Yeah, and thank you for having me, and thank you for being such a gracious host, man. I appreciate the opportunity and your time.
Man, I appreciate you, man.
Yes, thanks.
This was another episode of Go Play Esports with Christopher Turner. Follow him on Twitter at Turner_CP.